people have, you know, had the plan of the March break, had that week off, and now they're back in their home offices looking to be at a regular schedule. I find a lot of the groups that I'm talking to, they've got their kids on homeschooling, they've got work hours set aside. They're creating a new norm within their four walls, which is really neat to see, which is allowing businesses that can't live just within the four walls like ours to create the new norms. So, you know, we're clearing houses, vacating houses, sterilizing houses so that we can allow our photographers to get in to do 3D tours, virtual tours, or even just me to walk through and do a virtual showing. Those pieces are giving people the confidence back that we can complete the transactions that we're already in. And that's really been our big focus, is how do we help the people who've already sold their house and they have a closing coming up? You know, those are immediates. And as much as I keep begging people to stay home, I know I have to deal with those immediates one way or another.
Yeah, absolutely. John, what are you finding?
Yeah, I think you nailed it on the head. Until yesterday, basically, when it was announced that we can still be in business, obviously at a different capacity, I wasn't exactly sure what we could do, because I did not want to be responsible for putting someone in a situation where they weren't going to be safe. Now that we know that, I feel like now it's the creativity comes out, like how can we service people while keeping people's safety at the forefront? And I feel like people are like, they're rising up. The more and more I see this, I'm more and more thankful for the people that are like, hey, like this is actually a really good opportunity for me to spend time with my kids. Like, yes, it sucks, but let's all do our part. And like, what can we do to help each other has been the main theme, which I think is super inspiring. So I was away on vacation and I didn't know what to do. I was panicking for that week that I was away, because it wasn't a smart choice. Like things got out of hand really fast when we landed. I was like, oh boy. But now everything's sort of come full circle. And I think the main thing is watching the stats. I think our sales are probably going to decline a little bit as people have a little bit more fear of their safety. But as we come up with creative ways and safe ways to get people through houses, there's still that demand there. There's still people talking about the amount of people online looking for properties. Houses, what we're doing part of every day is making sure we're staying on top of what houses are selling for, how many are selling that day, how many contracts are happening, if there's canceled, and we're using that as an opportunity to reach out to people. And so I think as long as we're watching that and seeing what we've seen, it's been pretty healthy. So I think we're, like Sarah said, it's kind of, I think we're okay. Like for now, I think we're doing okay.
Well, and I think what you said, John, you have to keep giving that confidence back. Like I run the numbers this year versus last year. And even though showings are down across Southern Ontario, anywhere between 42 to 50%, they're still higher than this time last year in 2019. So, I mean, you throw a complete insane virus across the planet and we're still seeing the rise in showings, when we're encouraging every agent. Like I've been saying to my team, please don't go out, and they're not. It's become really a big pull on counting on a strong listing agent to be able to provide you, if it's a 3D plan, a video, a floor plan, as many details as possible. This is where I'm like jumping agents' websites looking for neighborhood videos that I can share. So the more agents that have more content, the better we can share with our clients and give them that confidence. It's nice.
I agree. I think we're learning as we go, and I think people who are creating an amazing virtual experience for people is going to be a game changer. How can we provide as much information so that people can feel comfortable making a decision without actually going through the house? You hear about condition on seeing the property first, but I mean, buyers are serious anyways the minute they've seen all of our stuff, and if they see a property, the chances are there's interest. But we have to take it to the next level, and I think that virtual capacity is going to be a game changer.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's forcing us to get creative, right? And it
is.
And we are all adjusting to a new normal. And again, like Sarah said, it's kind of changing on the daily. So what we talk about today might be different tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
So we'll meet back 1 o'clock tomorrow. It'll be great.
No problem.
Okay. So John, what would you say is something that you're doing right now in your business to protect it for, we know that we're on a fairly long sales cycle, easily 60 to 90 days. So what are you doing today to protect your business for June, July, August right now?
Well, that's a great question. I think the main thing we're doing is we're still staying in touch with people, and we're just doubling down on that. We're making sure that, I think our mindset was the first thing to have to change. And our mindset of how to grow our business changed to how can we help people? Because I think at this time of day, people are interested in hearing about what their house is worth if they're not considering moving, right? They're more so worried about what's happening in the world. So I think understanding that, yes, there's the people now we have to help, let's take care of them, but we're going to run out of those. And it's stay in touch with the people that are in our community that we can provide a positive outlet or a light to, I think. So our communication is very much just checking in, like people who are in an industry where they're impacted, it's going to affect their well-being and their ability to pay their bills. And I think being in touch with those people and just being a support system to them is sort of the name of the game. We all know that we're going to get through this. It's just that faith capacity we have as humans. And I know eventually we're going to get there. Our goal is not necessarily to think about the real estate, but to just be available as a source of help so that when they do think about real estate, they continue to think about us. It's sort of the same thing, just a different medium. And it truly comes from a place of like, hey, we care about you guys. We want to make sure you're doing well.
Yeah, love that. Genuinely coming from a place of caring and wanting to check in on people.
Totally.
It goes back to, are you pushing a transactional business, which you can't push in this market, or are you a relationship-based agent? And if you're a relationship-based person, which you'll see so many successful people, I love working with people like John who are so relationship-based. You care about your clients like they're your family. So, I know for me, when things like this hit, I was calling and suspending some of my listings right out of the gate because I knew they had kids or elderly people living in their home. And I was like, there's no way I'm letting anyone into your house, right? But moving forward, the double down, I love that you're using that, John, because I've been spreading that like crazy. But it is going to be like a double down, I think, delayed spring market, right? We're going to hit this new norm, and there is such a backlog of buyers out there that didn't get in even January and February when we were crazy, that you're going to see come to the forefront. And, I have more and more agents now that they're sort of back into this groove, calling me saying, Sarah, what are you holding on to? What do you have coming up? Like, what can you give my buyers? And we're holding on right now, sitting on our clients, not releasing them to the market, sort of waiting for a more baseline normalcy. But it is going to create this sort of like boom, when all these agents start listing properties again.
Yeah. So
I think June, July are not going to be hot.
And I think and I think that's a key piece that all of us need to keep with us, is to hear that, like, we want to be positive in people's lives. And these are awesome points of connections to call our database with, to not feel like we're bugging people. These are things that are positive things that we can spread to people. So I think that's an awesome little tidbit there. Insight.
Very good.
Definitely.
Thank you. Sarah, how are you showing up? Are there specific activities you're doing in your day? I mean, you were saying you're creating kind of a new schedule, a new normal. What does lead generation or lead follow-up look like for you right now?
What I've been doing is going through all our current clients and then all our position future clients, and it's a constant update. So I try to stick to sort of short lists of how many people I'm hitting each day with an update. Whether I'm just giving them a market update because they weren't scheduled till April or May or June, to say, here's how we're handling this. And then I'm also asking them for a little more support from their side. So as homeowners, they like this sort of interaction where they get to do a little bit more. Like, our stager is literally doing FaceTime calls with all our upcoming listings, going room to room saying, Sarah, remove the red picture frame, paint the shelves white, so that the homeowner feels like, okay, I know why I'm doing this, and I'm more engaged, right?
Neat.
So the day-to-day it hasn't changed, in that I'm not looking for the creation of new leads. I'm just going through my current clients, upcoming clients, and even past clients that, I find people who've recently bought have called me more than anybody to say, Sarah, are we okay? We just bought into this marketplace. We just spent this money. Can you give us some assurance? And as John said, it's just going through these people and constantly having the conversations. People are stuck at home. They want to hear your voice. They want to talk to you. Give them the most updated stats. Give them those assurances they're looking for, and obviously give them the truth of what's happening around them.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. John, anything to add to that?
Yeah, for sure. I think Sarah nailed it on the head. Like, things haven't changed in terms of your structure. If anything, it forces us to be more efficient in our structure so that we can reach more people efficiently. So for us, same thing. It's like, who are your A? We try to divide them into a level, right? So our A clients are the ones who are out right now looking, who have either bought or need to sell or whatever the case may be. Our B are people that are thinking about this, but they're not sure, and obviously they're going to need to hear from us. And then our C's are our follow-ups in our database. So we're just following up with that. We're just changing our approach, similar to what we talked about. And it's very much like, how can we create content, that we're putting out socially that I know our clients are seeing, as well as reaching out to them with like positivity, like, hey, just so you know, the market had this many new listings, this percentage of them sold, and this percentage sold for over asking price. So we're going to be watching this day to day, and that's going to determine how the market is performing over the next while. But we're just going to stay in touch with this, or each and every day we'll send you something new. And what I've discovered, it's kind of a humbling experience, is that texting is how I've done my business. And people are, now I'm setting up Zoom calls, and they're like, hey, John, just so you know, it's nice to see your face. You've gotten a little bit older, but we've missed seeing you, right? It's nice to have that interaction. And I realized that because you have like, when I first started this business, it was midnight. You were in front of people across the table, and you built these strong relationships. And I started to recognize that I was losing that capacity. So this has been such like an eye opener to the fact, like, our lead gen can be a simple text video that is utilizing technology that all the smart people in the room have probably been doing before me. But this is me, like, I need to do more video and set up Zoom calls, because it's such a great way to say, hey guys, like, we genuinely care about you. It's an eye to eye. People know that we genuinely care. And we just set that through a systematic approach, which would be our A, B, C, and D. And then that way we can keep track of accountability between team members. And I know they're hustling hard and working on that stuff, but it's just good to have a system to that approach. So it hasn't changed, just the method, or sorry, the information has changed.
Awesome.
Yeah, the information source has changed, but I find you're just spending more time actually on the phone. And for me, the transition was hard because I do almost everything face to face. So, you know, booking instead of meetings, but booking phone calls as meetings instead. But otherwise, the schedule is still pretty tight. And you do have to schedule more time. I think, John, I don't know if you're finding this, but I find I'm spending more time talking to the team on the whole, to keep them up to date so that they're sharing the same message versus, you know, only having to touch base with them every couple days.
Absolutely. We were trying to do day-to-day videos, or Zoom videos, where we're just talking back and forth. And number one was focusing on our mindset. Now, our team's awesome. They have such a great mindset through this process, and we're just trying to stay connected together on what we need to communicate. And then any new situation we're dealing with, there's these new problems we've never encountered. And it's like, why not just get together and mastermind together what we can do to be better in this situation, and how we can spread that sort of throughout our community. So yeah, it's definitely, we're in contact more. Like, I'm exhausted at the end of the day because I'm talking to people more and more, but I love it. Like, I think it's a great reset.
Yeah,
it is a great reset. That's exactly how people should be looking at it. Smart.
Love that. I love that. It's a really refreshing perspective. I think that's a great way for people to look at it. So what is a challenge that you're facing in your business right now? I mean, let's face it, this is unprecedented scenario that we're in right now. So what's something that's challenging you in your world?
Go ahead, Sarah.
Either one of you.
Yeah, go ahead, John. Sorry. I lost John. He like paused out. There he is.
I should just smile so it's not that awkward pause, like, oh, you're that.
That's okay. He's just drinking his finishes his beer. Go ahead, John.
I know, John, give us the challenge.
So exactly what we were just talking about. The challenges are, we don't know what we're dealing with. We don't know how long this is going to last. The main concern is the economic factors that come into play. And like, I have so much empathy and sympathy for people who are in jobs where they are losing their jobs. So I have friends hearing about getting laid off, and you know, that's why I think it's so important to get the message out. Everybody needs to do their part and just stay home. Like, stay home so that we can end and not have the same impact that we're having to people. And I get there's other factors at play there, but we need to do our part, stay home, so that we can control the economic factor, right? Because if people are losing their jobs, then that's going to be a problem, because that's going to impact everybody, because no one can pay their bills. I don't know the stats on this, but I heard that what happens if banks run out of money? What if we also don't have that money there? Like, those are all things that we need to consider. So the problems that I'm facing are so small compared to what we're dealing with on a global perspective, that that stuff I can't control. Like, all I can do is show up and be available to help people, but that's so far out of my control that's my concern. All I know is that I can't change that. All I can do is make sure the message we're sending out to our friends and family and anybody that knows us is, hey, we're homeschooling, we're at home, we're doing our best to stay here. Like, everybody do their part. Let's not be selfish about this process. Even if we don't know if we went out would cause any concern, like, let's limit our social interactions so that we can hopefully limit the impact it has on Canada.
Yeah. Get it over with, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that you are going to see global challenges like that. I think for the day-to-day activities, sort of to shrink the challenges is people, well, not people, agents and buyers coming into my listings and controlling that. So, you know, we have been sending out questionnaires. I found that I wasn't satisfied with just the questionnaires. So it's making me be a good agent again, in the sense that I'm calling every agent that's coming into my property. What have you shown? Why are you showing this? How long have you known your buyer? Is this just a one-off? Did someone just call you? Then what the heck are you doing, right? Has your client sold? Do they need a house in the next 2 months? It lets you grill down and figure out exactly who's coming through the property and why. So that you know, if you're willing to say to your sellers, okay guys, wipe yourself out of the house, get in your car, sit in the driveway, let the person in, right? And then wipe yourself back into the house. So, you know, for that immediate, I need a house, or I have to sell my house today, that's where I think agents are facing these little challenges of, well, I've got a showing, I've got to take the showing. Well, you don't have to take the showing. Find out what the strength of that showing is before you encourage people to go out and look at a house, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I have people that have to have houses that are sending me going, well, Sarah, what about these 12? I'm like, okay, let me call every listing agent. Let me look at every house and let's narrow it down to the top 3. I'll talk you through all 12 online, not a problem. But most agents know the areas they work in, and they can say, nope, you don't want that one because you told me you didn't want to be near hydro towers. Nope, you don't want that one because you told me you didn't want to be near a busy road. So you can do some of that elimination to, you know, eliminate the challenge of being out of your house.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you nailed it on the head. Exactly. Like I was talking to Jeff Hamm yesterday. We were sitting down beforehand. I just wanted to see what he was up to. And Michael McDougall, same thing. That we're trying to increase our virtual capacity of information so that there's everything possible for someone to screen that property. And Jeff said one of the things he's doing is that once they've been through the plan, the video, the pictures, like the online description of what's going on, like including the furnace room and the storage room, the garage, the bathrooms, all the stuff we normally do. If they still want to see it, he calls them up and says, like, what online is something that I just got distracted by Sarah's tongue.
Sorry, what is someone's waving at me from the street. My clients all see me in the office and like, Sarah.
Awesome. So funny. But he's actually calling those agents and saying, what is missing from our online material that you want to see this property? You want to make sure that we're not taking an unnecessary risk here. And he said he even had one client who has a place in Toronto, and most people didn't know that was close to a train track. So he would call anybody who was about to show it and say, just so you know, is a train track, it's not a problem for our people. Like obviously it's a quiet house, but some people don't like train tracks. Is that going to be a deal breaker for you? And they called him back and just said, yeah, like that, thanks for letting us know, we're going to pass on this. So I think that way maybe sometimes you can hurt yourself in that process, but I think at the end of the day, you're just screening people better, and it's forcing us to be better and more intentional about sitting down and just being really purposeful in what's happening and being on top of it to say like, hey, we've got to limit interactions. Let's screen people as best as possible.
Exactly. I think that's brilliant. And if you're not a listing agent, you're a buying agent, don't you think it's worthwhile you getting in your car and videoing the area and saying, hey, Mr. Buyer, this is what Brand Hills looks like, right?
Absolutely.
Are you comfortable with the look of this neighborhood? Here's where the school is. Here, I'm driving from the school to the house. It is a 5.2 kilometer drive, right? Be creative and give people the information they want anyways without standing there going, oh, I'll get that for you. Well, let me send that to you. Like, go out and do it ahead of time.
You know what's funny is that hearing that is like, we should be doing this anyways. This is, again, us being better. It's a chance for us to agents. And I think as a relationship agents, people too value what we do, but at the same point, like there's always that we're paid really well to do it. Why don't we do this stuff prior to this? But that's a brilliant idea. That's the name of being to help clients achieve their goal.
So I think it's what I'm gathering from what you guys are saying, and I want all of our attendees to really hear this as two, leaders in our industry, to incredibly successful agents. You're seeing this as an opportunity to increase the service with which you provide people, increase the level of expertise that you have in your own neighborhoods and in the areas that you're working. It really sounds as though you're looking at this as an opportunity to up your game and be better at what you do. Is that what I'm hearing?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'm throwing it out to my team. I've said to my team, what neighborhoods do you love? What do you know about these neighborhoods? How would you describe them? Send me a video on it. Let me share it with the listing. And it's letting our, buyer agents get out there, walk the neighborhoods because everybody's out walking, right? And yell hi to people passing by from 10 feet away. But at least they can say, this is what's so great about this neighborhood. We love the lot sizes, or we love that there's no sidewalks, or, you know, that there's short streets, or that the schools are also close by. And that type of information, when you're an agent providing that to a buyer or a seller, is outstanding. So I agree. It is not just a reset, but you can really level up.
Yes. Absolutely. Do you think that's something, I'm kind of jumping out of my conversation here, but this is amazing. Do you think that's something you'll continue doing? This is not a one and done, like COVID is over, I'm going back to my old ways. Is this a new way of doing business for you both?
I would say so. So Sarah's a perfect example of someone who has market expertise to a certain level in Millcraft. She's just done a really good job with that. And as we face threat of, you know, technology coming in and maybe putting us out of business, I don't think that'll ever happen, but it's there, right? We got to think about it. Doing this stuff is exactly what we need to do to set ourselves as experts. And if I ever think about my own advice when I help people buy certain areas, you know what, Toronto, I'm not gonna be able to help anybody, but in an area where I know, and in my experience with building a house and renovating new construction, like all those things you can't get from a computer, but you can get that from personal experience. So this is very much reset to the basics. What are the basics? What did I do to get started that helped me keep going? And this is forcing me to think about less about the growth and more about the fundamentals and the basics that keep us in business. I think that's such a take home for me.
Really foundational.
Yeah.
And you can do that leveling up with other agents, right? Like, yes,
Yeah.
You and I couldn't go and say, well, this is the best location on Bloor Street. That's not John's and my backyard. That's not where we live and play. But that doesn't mean we don't have someone on Bloor Street that is our backyard, right? We
Right.
can share that agent with our client and even do this conversation with that client.
Yep, exactly.
Right? Then the pass off's a lot more personal than just, here you go, Mr. Client, here's the name and number of somebody, right?
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you actually know who these people are.
Very cool. John, you mentioned concern or the opportunity that there's the opportunity, I guess, eventually for technology to come in and take away some elements of our job. Are you finding that this is forcing you to learn how to better use technology to protect your job and your business?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it gets you out of your comfort zone. I think over the last while, I've been slowly growing towards just managing the business versus working with individuals. And I think you get carried away with technology that you forget the personal side of stuff. So technology is here. Let's use it to strengthen the human connection that keeps us in business and that we so thrive to have. Hence the reason why we're all here today, because we just need that human interaction. So technology sometimes can be seen as a scary thing, but it's really not when you use it for the right thing. And I think that's the theme that I keep coming back to. It's like, yes, like technology, we need to be better with it. And if you were going to ask one of the questions, what could you be better at? It definitely be utilizing technology and just bringing it to all aspects of our lives. Now we're kind of forced to, it's just a great learning lesson.
Yeah. Awesome.
Absolutely. And I think I was speaking to agents across the country yesterday, and someone else brought up that point that, oh, maybe during this people will see that there's no point to an agent, but it races home even harder for me that at the end of the day, real estate is very emotional, right? It's divorce, it's having babies, it's losing loved ones, it's, your economic strength, your economic failures. And if you don't have someone there personally guiding you that you trust, then you don't care what the app is telling you. You want to hear from somebody, right? How often, there's no app that says Sarah's going to hold my hand here.
Yeah.
They want to talk to you. And that's what I'm hearing back from every agent I talk to, is that being trapped in their home right now is forcing them into real life conversations. And that's what people want. They don't care that it's coming on a technology platform, but they want to hear your voice.
100%.
So how do you eliminate that? You can't.
No. That the human element, I think, is being enforced more than ever right now.
Exactly. People want humanity.
Have you seen that meme that's going around and it says, hey, check on your extroverted friends, we're not okay?
I thought you first, Penny. I was like, we all got to check it on Penny.
Like, just please check it on me. I mean, this is a lifeline for me. It's amazing. Thank you guys. Okay, so another thing I wanted to check in with you about is in terms of your focus, what is if you wake up in the morning, you get your cup of coffee, you get yourself ready for the day, what is the number one most important thing in your business world right now?
I can start.
Number one, go ahead, John.
It's always mindset. You get up in the morning and you go through a night and you read, like, what does that mean? And then it always comes back down to, okay, get yourself in the right mindset of, hey, we're here to help people. Things are going to be right. It may be a slight adjustment on how, like, what our year's going to look like. Of course, we're ambitious. We want to do well, and it may not look the same because it's out of our control. But I think, the mindset, like, this is the greater purpose here, is to help people. And that sort of fuels the thing moving forward. So, like, again, the first thing would be mindset, but then that transitions into your activities in the morning, almost to a point where you're a little bit more excited to get on the phone. And for me, even get on the phone, not just text, get on the phone and talk to people. I think that that's the name of the game. Like, if I'm structured during that section of the day, the rest of the day, you're free to respond to people asking for, like, now kind of conversation. So the main thing is just staying in touch with people, which is the same as it's always been, just better at it.
So I just want to just clarify a little bit, because there's probably some attendees sitting here going, okay, John, cool, mindset, but, like, how do I get my mind right? Like, how do I keep my mindset in a healthy place? What are you doing to keep your mindset, forward thinking, really positive, and able to keep taking action?
That's a good question, and I'm not going to preach, but I will say this, and that's faith. I think faith, all humankind has faith. For us, I do believe in God, and I think that now more than ever, don't mean to shed a little tear, but that's what keeps me motivated, and that's what I know, that we're going to get through this no matter what. And I haven't done a good enough job sharing what's important to me. So that sets me in the right mindset. And then it comes back to, like, how's the practical approach? And that's reading Shift. I think understanding Shift and knowing that other people have been through this. Like, check out this book. It's awesome. It really is. Like, it's not an awesome time, but, like, there's a way to get through this stuff. And why not just listen to other people who have a heck of a lot more smarts than we do? And I was just reading this morning. I was like, oh man, I'm so inspired. Sent a message to my team, like, guys, we need to be better. Like, let's be on top of stats so that we can send it out to our people so that they feel comfortable through this, that they know that we're a reliable information source. So it always starts with mindset. And for me, it's faith and then the practical approach.
Awesome. Thanks, John. I really appreciate you being willing to be so open and
it's the dust in this room. We never use it. It's in my contacts. Like, it's causing me to tear up a bit here.
It's a good time to tear up and be in love with fellow humanity. That's not a bad thing.
It is. And I think we're all really vulnerable right now. I think we're all feeling really uncertain, and your willingness to show that, I think, is a testament to what's happening to us all right now. I think we're all getting really okay with going, like, I don't have a clue, and I'm a little nervous right now, and we can connect through that. So thank you, John. Appreciate it.
It's true. Definitely.
Right,
one of the things, John, when you talk about mindset, my family always says to me, my eldest will hug me and he'll say, oh, mom's got a good vibe, or mom's doesn't have a good vibe. So they always say my vibe sets the tone of the household. And I'm like, that's really not fair to put that on me, but
no pressure,
fair
Mom.
enough. It's a lifeline leadership thing, right? The thing that I've noticed that's really worked for mindset is going back to the routine things that you can do. So my kids are used to me working out every morning in our basement or in our backyard with a trainer at like 7 a.m. So I still have my trainer. He's just on FaceTime, but it's a normal checkbox for me. And then they know I'm going to get up and make them a shake. I'm going to force them to make their beds. By putting some of that routine back into place, it allows that natural mindset to jump back in. And one thing I was saying to my clients the other day, just control what you can. You don't want to be trying to control this huge problem for everybody. You really can't. And Taylor, as you said, we don't know. Like, we could be back here at 1 o'clock tomorrow giving different information, right? So
it's over. We're fixed. We're cured.
So you can only control what you can control. So, your space is small right now. Work within that space. If you're used to working out, if you're used to making meals, if you're used to, 7 o'clock is Lego time, then put some of that schedule back into your routine. And you can do that with work and family. And it's working in my house, and I have a lot of crazies in the house.
They'll love that you said that.
I do.
So I totally agree with you, Sarah. I think, and leading into that, talking about routine and keeping some of that really consistency in your day, I think that can take away a lot of especially for our families, the people around us, it can take away some of that feeling of uncertainty and unbalance and ungroundedness. I think that can really help keep everybody rooted in, some routine. It can be helpful. That's a great
Yeah.
idea.
Otherwise, you're just sitting in front of the news waiting for the next bomb, right? So,
or just like scrolling all day long. Ooh,
yes.
nobody
Yeah,
wants
not
to
a
do that.
good
Don't do
plan.
that. Get out of your
Don't
PJs and do some work, right?
That's right. Get dressed.
So tell me something, Sarah, that you're doing really great right now that is going super well in your business for you.
This one is funny. This is something that anyone can do at any minute. Oh, here goes. See, they're fighting in my household right now.
This is real life, guys. This is live.
This
It's
is
all good.
with clients on the phone. They're like, "Oh, what kind of dog you?" Anyways, shush. One of the things I do is I take the dog out walking, and when I walk by a real estate sign, I call a client that I know lives within that area. I'm sorry, hang on.
It's okay. Don't worry. I like this idea. I like where we're heading.
This is what happens when you have a lot of males in your house. But no, seriously, I'll take the dog for a walk. I'll be like, "Oh, John's just listed this house. Great. How much is it? How long's it been listed for? What are the details?" Perfect. I know Amy lives around the corner. "Hey, Amy, just want to let you know I was out walking. A lot of time for walking these days. And I wanted to let you know there's a new listing in your area, and here's the details." So I find that forces me into a real life conversation. I have to be informed, and it gives the details to everyone in the area to know exactly what the market's doing around them in that moment.
That's really cool. I love that.
It's so simple. It sounds so like painfully simple.
But that's the stuff that we've gotten away from, don't you think?
Yes, yes.
Oh, cool, creative stuff. That's great, but that's so foundational, and that's such just a service call, right? And I love that. I think that's a great idea. Right
And
now,
if your client's cool, they'll let you FaceTime them, right? So you can be like, "Hey, look at the house. Look at, you know."
That's awesome. I love that.
It's nice.
John, what about you? What are you doing really well right now in your business?
I love that yours was so real estate related. I'm like, oh, that's a brilliant idea. I'm going to do that.
Write that down. That's awesome. I love that. Go for a walk and call your people.
Seriously,
it's healthy all around.
Multitasking that men can do. Like we can actually do that.
That's
You
right.
can totally handle it, John. I believe in you.
I would say, so that was a tough question because everything that we're doing before that worked isn't going to work right now. So I was like, how do I answer that? And I would say the number one thing is spreading the news that we are going to be okay, is being positive in people's lives and just being available to listen to people's needs. I think that we're trying to do that really well. I feel like we're being intentional about it. So that was one of the things that is going well, but I wouldn't say we're great at it. But that I think that's something that we're definitely focused on. And it's been amazing to see the response to that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys are doing a great job of that. I follow you guys on all your feeds and everything. And the messages that are coming out are like, no, not business as usual. And we're carrying on. So yeah.
And I think that's an amazing message right there. It isn't business as usual.
Yeah.
But we're still the same people with the same information, and we still want to share it with you, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we'll get through this. We're going to rise above.
We are. Yeah. So I'm going to ask you one more question, and then I'm going to open up the floor in the chat box for attendees to ask any questions that they might have from you guys. Is that okay?
Sure.
Cool.
Okay. So, and I fully appreciate that we don't have crystal balls. So I'm not asking you to, formulate thoughts because in reality, we just cannot know what's going to come from this. But what I'd like to know from each of you is, what do you hope comes from this? We all know we're not coming out of this the same way we went in. I think this is going to change a lot of things for the better. And I'd like to know what you guys hope will come from this.
I seriously hope that our clients and our friends and our colleagues look at us as trusted resources and know that regardless of what happens, we're going to be here as information providers, as shoulders to lean on, as John has put it, as hopefully sort of a voice through the storm that can shoulder it with you. I think that we're going to come out stronger in that people don't see us simply as transactional. They're going to see us as what we do every day. And that's, you forget that people don't see us on our phones or in our cars at midnight, or buying the latest book or picking up a cupcake, whatever silly little thing I've seen so many agents do to try to keep their clients happy, comfortable, and, show them truly that you're their friends or family members within their lives. So I think you're going to come out at a higher level of relationship living with your clients.
Love that. I think you're right. John, what do you think? What do you hope comes from this?
I hope that it's similar to Sarah was saying, like, I think there's a challenge for us right now, and there's an opportunity to learn from the situation to be better and to be more involved in people's lives. We're so focused on trying to create businesses and be efficient that sometimes we forget we're dealing with people's most largest transactions. So I feel like it's an opportunity for us all to just show some more love and show people what we actually are. Like, we got into this business because we like helping people. And sometimes that's distracted by not being on the screen. We can't see the passion that we have when we're helping someone at midnight, when you'd rather be watching a show or sleeping. Like, sleeping would be nice at midnight. But I mean, we have an opportunity here. And I think the opportunity to show people that we really want good for our people. And it's not just about the commission check, because it really isn't. It's about showing love to people. And I hope humanity and humankind will step up in a situation where we're all just like, hey man, like that person I didn't even know just offered to go pick up my prescription because I know you're on quarantine. Like, how is that not just like a humbling experience? But people are rising up, and I hope more people do that are taking the lead from other people and saying, hey man, like, that's awesome you did that. That's inspiring, and I'm going to actually take that with me. I hope that we continue on in that regard.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been fascinating to see the humanity coming out. It's been really cool. It's been really cool. Thank you guys for sharing that. I really appreciate hearing your hopes for how this all turns out for everybody. Okay, we have our first question. And again, if you have a question, just type it into the chat box at the bottom of your screen. You'll see the little button there. You can click that and type a question. So our first question is from Jordan. He's from KW Signature in Oakville, I do believe. And he says, as a new agent, 3 months in, what should I be focused on during this bizarre time? What do you guys think?
Build your database.
Yeah, your database is different now. And we were masterminding this with my team because I do have some younger agents. They're, I mean, putting up some good numbers. Their database isn't as large. So we were like, what can we do that would come from contribution, that would allow us an opportunity to follow up with a video to say, hey, like, for us, it might have food and drop it off to the situation. I don't even know the legalities of that because you obviously can't touch everything, but find some way to come from contribution that would allow us to meet people, that would allow us to follow up systematically. Because if you don't have that database, yeah, you're kind of starting from scratch, and you can't go knock on doors, and you can call people, but I just think work on your database, exactly Sarah said, but be creative in your approach to it, because you have to be sensitive to the fact that people don't want to know about selling their house right now. They're worried about other things.
Yeah, there's a lot of
But they are worried about the value of their house.
Yeah.
And that is our job, right? Don't ask to sell someone's house. Don't ask for the business, but give them the information. That will build your database.
Yeah, absolutely. I think now another thing you can be doing, Jordan, anybody you know who owns a house, even if you didn't sell it to them, if you know somebody who owns a house, call them up and just say, hey, can I do a video CMA for you? If you're curious about that, and then get off the phone with them, pull some comparables, and then do a screen share and walk them through each listing to show them what's happened in their neighborhood lately. I mean, that's a really simple kind of touch point, and it gets you in front of them and shows your knowledge, right? Awesome. Thank you guys for your thoughts. Hey, Melissa from Royal LePage says, what platform are you using to send videos to clients?
Cool.
So Liam, my teammate, just sent this to me. It's called Record It. So it allows you to record your screen and then also put yourself in the corner as a walkthrough. So I think that's super cool, and I had to learn how to use it. But I mean, you can take YouTube videos there. You can take other people's listing videos there, put them up, upload them on there. And it's a free app, and you just put yourself in the corner, and you can talk people through it. Super simple, and obviously just send it through your database management. For us, we use Command. Command is brilliant. It's gonna be brilliant. It's good, but I mean, technology is so easy. There's so many apps for everything that it's really just up to us to kind of utilize it. But Record It works really well, and it's cheap because it's free.
Yeah. Anything on your phone is cheap. There's Slack It, there's Boom, there's MailChimp does the whole big kit and caboodle once you have the video, but even if you just go to the Apple store, they're totally launching themselves right now on video streaming. There's tons.
We all should have invested in Zoom a couple weeks ago.
I know.
Yeah, I was just that company.
Hindsight.
What was I thinking?
If only we'd known. Okay, awesome. Melissa, I hope that helps you. Sue Morkoff from KW Edge says, my clients are asking what the market will look like from a pricing perspective when this all ends, and we try to get back to a new normal, particularly if there's a shift to much more supply. So what do you think is going to happen to prices if there's a whole lot more supply? Well, I mean, simple economics, but
but I think even when you see a shift to more supply, there's going to be the same backlog of buyers, right? It's not like, oh, all the buyers are out there buying. There's nothing for them to buy, regardless of virus living or not. We've had this incredibly low inventory, and everything is setting up the buyers to be more powerful, right? Lower interest rates, easier stress tests. We're seeing more and more people come out of rentals that can buy this year that couldn't buy the last 2 years. So even if John and I listed 200 homes on May 5th, I don't think that's even going to begin to satisfy the amount of buyer backlog that we have. So maybe the timelines will change a little bit because buyers will feel like, oh, I get to see this one, I get to see this one, and everyone won't be jumping from one house to the, the next to buy. But I still think you're going to see strong enough prices because this is a pause button for everybody. It's not a pause just for a seller or just for a buyer.
Mm-hmm. I think that's such a critical thing to remember, that this is across the board. Everybody's hitting on the pause button. I love that.
The fact that all our phones are ringing off the hook shows that there's still all that demand out there and people are just trying to figure out what's happening. It's like the stock market. We know what the factor is that caused the crash. It's just it's uncertainty in the marketplace based on Corona. So I strongly believe that once we get this under wraps, that we are going to be healthy and fine, and we're going to have that sort of everybody back in the market, because real estate has been such a great investment. I think the one thing to consider again is how much backlash this has on our lending and what will happen to interest rates. And you hear about this tax situation where the liberals were, I'm not getting political, but asking for unlimited spending control. These are all factors that we have to consider. But if we can get a hold of this virus and everything goes back to normal, I still believe there's so much demand here. Like, people are going to want to get back to work. People are going to be jumping back into projects. They're already there. We're just on hold. So I feel like it's going to be the same thing. It's going to be very much a fast-paced market.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's all relative, right? As the listings come back up, the demand is going to be there to support that. If it's all kind of moving at a similar level, it's still relative. It's if one gets out of whack of the other, right? Mm-hmm. That's when things get funky. Jonathan asks, any tip for landlords? Anything specific, Jonathan? Would you buy a property right now, Sarah or John, if the right property and opportunity came up?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep.
John? Did I freeze on John?
I cut out there for a second. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Would you buy a property right now if the right opportunity and property and price came up?
100%. I was just talking to my wife about this. We had built a house and I promised I wouldn't get her involved in any more projects until I gave her a little bit of a break. But now seeing the opportunity out there to show, like, hey, man, like, I still believe in real estate as an investment opportunity. And you look at the market and that is super scary. Like, yes, the real estate market could change, but you still own something where people are going to pay for that. And yes, that could change in the amount that they can actually afford to pay. But once we get past this, like, it's going to be great. And I think there's going to be opportunities out there. I always want to take care of my sellers, but in my buyers, if there's an opportunity to find somebody who needs to sell, we're going to find.
Yeah, absolutely.
The opportunity to get a steal. Because I do believe that in 6 months, we're going to be right back to where we were.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't you take that opportunity right now? It's brilliant, right? It's there. It's bricks and mortar. And I think that's even stronger right now when you see the markets in the position they currently are. At the end of the day, we are still providing shelter and people still see investment in something tangible. Yeah. I still like my investments in something tangible. That's my first, place that I like to see money invested. So I would jump on anything. Yeah, that I thought was worth buying right now.
Walk our talk, we tell other people to invest in real estate. We got to too.
Yeah.
Okay. Any more questions? I have one more, and then if any other questions from attendees come in while I ask that question, what would you guys say? Or actually, I have two more questions. Change my mind. Number one, what would you guys say to somebody who is an agent who is sitting back, kind of going, I'm going to ride it out. I'm going to give it a few weeks. Just, take a vacation. What would you say to that agent?
Oof.
Other than,
as people who love to be productive, I have a hard time with that question, because, like, you shouldn't be an agent then. Like, there's
John and I are thinking the same thing here. We're like, nah.
No, yeah, go pour coffee or something. But I would say, like, we're going to have a shakeup in the industry, and some people are going to go broke waiting for this to change. Not go broke, but they could run the risk of going broke. So it's all about limiting your expenses and doing the work necessary so that when we are ready to go, people are thinking you first. So don't ride it out. This is an opportunity to rise up. That's why we say double down. And I wasn't the first one to say that. I wish I was, but someone way smarter than me did. And I'm going to double down. I'm going to maybe
double down. Get
Yeah.
busy.
Get
Get
busy.
busy or you will get behind.
Get to work. I'm working harder now than I've ever worked.
I agree.
Yeah. Sarah, any choice words?
No more choice words.
Get out.
I'm giving you my choice word.
And that you could say in this room.
She's being so politically correct. I love it.
I get it. It's easy to nest, right? So easy to fall into that trap of I'm doing the right thing. I'm staying in my house. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. But what are you doing in your house? Your clients want to know what's going on. You have to be prepared to answer those questions. And if you're not, then you're not practicing in real estate. You're not practicing real estate for your clients. You still have to show up.
Yeah, love that. Yes, let's keep thinking of it as a real estate practice.
Yes.
The practice. It's not a real estate job. It's a practice. You got to show up every day and do it to get any good at it. Love that. I'm going to use that for something.
There you go.
Okay. No more panel or attendee questions. So my final question for you guys, and then I'm going to do a quick little plug I'm going to do the plug first. If you have not, attendees and panelists, if you have not got your hands on this book right now, I want to be clear. I'm not coming out and saying we're facing a shift. I'm saying I want to prepare my people for a shift, because if you're taking tactics from this book and implementing them in your business right now, doesn't matter what happens to the market, you're going to succeed. That's just how it goes. So if you don't have your hands on this book yet, email me, text me, call me. I have a PDF version of it. I will email it to you because I can't see you to drop it off. But I want you to have your hands on this book. It is a game changer. John, I know you've read it. Sarah, I'm certain you have too. And I mean, you got some time on your hands. You're going to call your clients. You're going to do your business. You're going to hang out with your family, and you're going to read a book, for God's sakes. Speaking of, get off my soapbox now. I want to know, final question, and then we will sign off. Oh, hold on. Steve put a question in the Q&A box. Okay, hang tight. Let me get there, Steve, because, oh, look at that. There's two over there. Just one. Okay, broad question from Steve. I'm not sure which Steve this is. That's okay. How are you handling buyers and sellers who need to buy or sell versus want to in this environment? There's a lot of noise in the industry about perspectives and everything on how we handle those conversations in terms of handling things as objections, as opposed to a condition in people's circumstances. Bravo for knowing the difference, Steve. Steve Dixon. Oh, I knew. Excellent. So what are you guys talking about? How are you handling need to buy and sell versus want to buy and sell right now? Thank you for your question.
I think John and I covered that a little bit in the sense that we're really narrowing down the details from the listing agents and actually taking a look at the areas and then talking through the actual listings with our clients online, right? Pulling them up, video conferencing while you're going through the houses together. And then you have to go as far as, the safety precautions that are now being put in front of us as agents. All of my agents have gloves, hand sanitizer, wipes, multiple pairs of shoes, if not booties, to basically, if you're going to approach a property, know what's on the other side of that door. Are these people living there? Is it vacant? If you look at the amount of showings that are coming in on vacant properties, it's pretty cool because they're flying. Just knowing all the details of both sides of all the bodies that you are now responsible for. So yeah, if this buyer really needs to buy, how quick is that timeline? Can you, narrow it down as fast as possible and, prevent basically any chance situation from falling in your lap?
Yeah. Love it. John, anything to add to that?
That's a great question. We did touch on that a bit, but I think even just thinking now, it's like, obviously, I think we need to reach out to people who are allowed to continue to work. And that would be get an arrangement with some sort of cleaner who's on top of this stuff, that maybe you can work out like, hey, we're going to be doing this a lot. Maybe we can work out an agreement on price. If you could be available to clean the house, all the essentials after cost of someone, people take that in the long term. And then the other thing would be, why not as sellers encourage them to, I don't know, is there places they can go? I didn't even look into whether or not hotels are open. I'm sure that's probably closed down, isn't it? I'm just thinking off the top.
That's why I tell people
to
go to their cars.
House. Yeah. Well, I mean, even if like you have an elderly couple, and I do have someone in their 70s and they want to sell, but like the virus can stay rampant for 2 days after the fact. They're like, well, we can go to our cottage. I was like, but you're not going to go to your cottage 2 days and then come back and then there's no showing and then leave for 2 days. Like what can we do? And I think where maybe being strategic in setting an offer presentation date, or at least getting the price right. I don't know. There's so many different ways to think about that. I think that Sarah kind of nailed on the head. And I think that if you're taking the precautions with cleaning, hopefully that'll be enough. I don't know what that'll mean in the future though.
There are really, like, we already have 2 of our cleaners that just provide, we call it the bleach service. I call it the lung burn service because I can tell when I come in and they've just been there. It's like, oh, the bleach smell is so strong. And they're wiping their way in and wiping their way out of pathways. And I mean, we're just using them repeatedly on any property that has to sell.
Good job. That's smart.
That's awesome.
Okay, amazing. I think we've covered all the attendee questions. My final question for you, I'm an avid reader. I just like soak up books and knowledge. What are you guys reading right now?
I just gave you my book at the beginning of the conversation.
Oh yeah, everybody didn't catch it though, so tell us again.
Oh, it's so good. This is maybe a little,
Voices of Powerful Women. I got a note to self that right now.
It's really good.
I'm reading that one too.
Are you, John? It's really good, eh?
I should.
It's really cool because my book club and I, we've continued. So this is our newest book right now. But it's a good book.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. John?
Mine's The Shift.
Excellent.
That makes the most sense right now, and it's providing insights of how to advise, and that's the name of the game. So it's totally applicable.
Awesome.
Do
Okay.
you find you don't read 2 books at the same time though, John? Like The Shift and something else?
4 on the go. I have 4 on the go.
So what are the other 3?
Oh my God. I can't, that's the problem. I can't remember the titles. I have to write it down. It just doesn't happen to be here.
All right, post them on your social media later, will you? Everybody go follow John at what? What's your thing?
Oh shoot. You never actually say it, do you? Because you
No.
don't.
You have a YouTube channel, I guess.
It is just John Van Geest. I should have known that.
Yeah.
Just John
I was
Van
like, I'm pretty sure it's just John Van Geest. I can look it up.
I think
for
so,
you.
yeah.
That's
Sarah,
good.
what's your handle?
We're just teamlogue.ca. Yeah.
All right,
just Team
perfect.
Logue.
So
Yeah.
follow them. John will post his books later, right?
Awesome. Yeah, we'll definitely
Thanks,
do that.
buddy. Appreciate it. Okay, so to our panelists, thank you guys so much for being here today. I really appreciate you sharing your knowledge, sharing your wisdom, and again, being willing to kind of open up and be vulnerable and just recognize that we're all in this together, and none of us know what's going to happen. Nobody knows. I heard something the other day that I'll lead or end with this. Thank you to all of our attendees for coming. If you're experiencing any anxiety or worry right now, it's because one of 3 things are happening to you. You're either not doing things that you know you should be doing, maybe in your business. You're doing things that you know you shouldn't be doing, or you're trying to control something that is so far beyond your control and you just have no opportunity to do that. If you're doing any of those 3 things right now, you're going to be feeling pretty uncomfortable. So find ways to do the things that are important, stop doing the things that aren't, and let go of trying to control something that is so far beyond you. We're all going to get through this together, and we're going to come out better for it. That is my deep, deep belief. So thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate you all. If you want a copy of The Shift on PDF, text me, email me, call me. If you don't know my information, you know John or you know Sarah, reach out to them, and they'll get me in touch with you to get you a copy of that book. It can absolutely change the game for you right now. It is time to take market share. Okay, have an amazing afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much. I appreciate you both a ton.